Hi guys, my name's Ellie, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to do a palette focus on this. This is the Urban Decay Vice LTD Reloaded. I have used this a couple times, like very rarely. I got it, I was really excited for it, and then I got it with several other things for Christmas, and I just, like I took a week or two to play with it, and I really haven't pulled it out since then. I'll be right back. I entirely forgot my eye primer. I got like brushes, eyeshadows, and everything here. Just not the primer that I need so that my oily eyelids don't eat it. Words is a day. We're back. Got my eyeshadow primer. I already kind of know what I might want to do with the shades in there. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. I went to see a house today. That was nice, but that's, I don't know, I can't keep just telling you guys I'm seeing houses and whining about how hard it is to find a house. Because I have, honestly. The big problem I'm having is that the things I want in a house are things that not everybody wants, like hardwood flooring is important to me and the boyfriend, but a lot of people don't care, so they've carpeted half their house, or sections, or it never had hardwood or anything. Not as many people do as much cooking as I'm intending to do, so the kitchens aren't as big or whatever. And a lot of the houses that I've found that are really good are kind of jumping off the market pretty quickly. And I'm also dealing with the fact that there's a house I found where the house itself is perfect. It's a century home. It's got hardwood flooring and stained molding and like gorgeous wooden wall insert stuff throughout. It's fantastic. But it's got a tiny little yard, and since we have a dog and a big part of moving out of the apartment that Six is in is getting space for the dog to actually enjoy herself. So having a yard is a big priority, and it being kind of a shitty side yard with nothing else, as much as I try to like justify it as like, oh, we can take her to the park, we'll be walking her a lot more in the area, like there's the option, and I'm trying not to be that person that's like, well, it's bigger than what she's in now, when it could be much better. And since I will probably also want to get some more pets in the area, we should care about the yard and that, because for personal use, like, I want to put a pool in, and that's the main draw for me having a big lot, other than, like, space around the house that will keep neighbors away. Not that I don't like neighbors, I would like to not have houses directly upon each other. But it's not super fair to the pupper to buy a house that doesn't have room for her to enjoy the outside. No matter how much we can say, oh, well, we'll take her to parks, we'll take her around the area. She would love to have, well, I'm assuming she would, but it would be great for her to have access to a real yard. So I'm just putting down a base beigey shade, and then I'm going to put this satin from Bare Minerals on my brow bone, because I'm panning it, and then we'll actually get into the colors in the Urban Decay palette. I do think that in theory now might be a good time to kind of give you guys an update on how some things have been going. I did feel like I've touched on how my low buy is going. Since then I've bought something, kind of, but not really. And I've also already talked about how I would like to be in a better place physically, exercising more type stuff. I'm looking at the colors in front of me, and let's get that brush out of the way. I very much want to use Goldmine and Gash and probably Mildew, but Laced looks like potentially the closest I have to a transition color, because Twice Baked is a shimmer. I don't really like those in my crease, and Suspend is kind of cool for what I would want to do with it. So let's start with Laced, and then if it doesn't work out, I have some warmer stuff in here. Let's see what happens. So, on the low buy, I did really well in January. If I was tempted by something, I either duped it or just, reminded myself how much I'm already feeling the pressure of trying to just use the stuff I have. Like, I'm panning things, and so I'm currently seeing how little impact that's having on things, since I'm panning several things, and even just then, the impact I'm having, it makes me think about how many other shades I have and how long it would take me to use them all up, even though I've already, what is it? I've already decluttered quite a few palettes over the last couple months of just things that either aren't a quality I like anymore, or are, might be better than somebody else, or I've changed my preferences since then, or I have a bunch of dupes, so I just need to give it to somebody else to have fun with. That's just not that dark. Okay. I'm gonna go in with Wanderer from the Tartlet palette, just because this palette is almost entirely shimmers, the Urban Decay one, and that's nice for stuff like that, but that is the other reason that I justify some of these all matte palettes is, oh, well, I can use it with these palettes that have so many shimmers, so I have to. Well, I don't have to, but instead of making do with one that doesn't quite add the depth I want, I might as well pull from the palette that's right in front of me because I'm panning it. So I'm playing with this Morphe M441. I kind of forgot I had it, and it popped up in one of my brush cups, as in something moved and I could see it again. I was like, oh, it's been a while since I used it. And I am enjoying how much of the product it picks up, and how well it blends it out for crease shades. So, I'm enjoying that. Yeah, so I did really well in January of not being tempted by things, so it was either that they didn't have good releases, or that I was just, how at the start of a commitment you have better self-control sometimes because you're still in the motivation stage. Then, there was a Sephora perk, a point perk. For 600 points, you could get a full-size Charlotte Tilbury lipstick, and I jumped on it. I got that email, I immediately went in there, added it to my cart, found something like a sheet mask, I'm gonna put some more of that on my lower lash line, and picked it up. Had it in the mail, got it within a week. That's not progress. That's not... As much as Charlotte Tilbury is a formula I've really wanted to try, I've been very curious about, I've heard they're fantastic, and it was a really nice color. That speed with which I bought something to get that purchase, which it technically didn't spend money on the lipstick, but it's points that I have from spending money. It's a full-sized product coming into my collection. And, it's a pretty color. I haven't really tested the formula too much. I've slapped it on at the end of the day, but I haven't, worn it for a long time to test it yet. But, that's not... That reaction is not what I want. That seeing something and being like, yes, that, immediately click, 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 in my cart on the way in the mail to me. That's not what I want. I want to be able to sit back, think about things, think about what I have in my collection. I'm going to have to do some swatches, but I very well might have that color or something close enough already. And I'm a little disappointed in myself. So, I don't know, because technically I didn't spend money on that item itself. I don't know if I'm going to count it as a purchase or not. I probably should. I'm going to take Dreamer to kind of deepen up the outer corner and the crease. I really probably should, and I most likely by the end of this month I will have decided that I'm going to, but because whether I spent money on it or not, that is a full-size lipstick that is now in my collection. there's now another thing that has a expiration time on it. I didn't wait until I'd panned more lipsticks. I just got it. And yeah, I've already panned a gloss. But glosses go much faster than, like, actual lipsticks. So, I'm a little disappointed in myself. But I do have it. And it is gorgeous. Like, the packaging's really nice. The shape of it is really interesting. It was kind of... I wasn't sure if it was an aesthetic thing or what, but it actually does help you line your lips quite nicely. The few times I've put it on. But I might, depending on what I'm deciding, I might make myself declutter something in order to either, I don't know, I'm not necessarily going to say in order to keep it, because it's the most recent lipstick purchase. It seems silly to throw that out instead of something that might be older. But I might make myself declutter something similar just to keep my collection down. I'm currently telling myself that in order to not count it as a purchase, since I didn't technically spend money on it, but I do have a new product in, the decluttering might let me not count it, but that seems like bending the rules very early in my system for me, and I probably should just break down and count it. Like, it's practically a purchase. It's a full-size item coming in. It is not a replacement of anything, even if I do declutter something that has a similar shade or formula. It's not like I don't probably have multiple of that type of a shade anyway. Okay, now we can actually get into the Vice things. So, I want to do goldmine on the first, like, inner half, gash on the outer half, and then probably mildew on the lower lash line. And then most likely we'll end up with Midnight Cowboy in the inner corner. That's my plan. Fingers crossed that that's what happens. So yeah, I was feeling really confident, I was feeling really good, and like I was making changes to my shopping habits, and then I promptly proved myself wrong. So, that's where that's at. And like, yeah, I am allowing purchases, but I wanted my purchases to be more thought out than that. So, we got goldmine going on the lid. That's cute. You can't see it very well because my lighting is horrible. And the camera adjusts for how pale I am, which I appreciate it showing me as something more than just whiteness, but it also means that it ends up affecting the way the colors show up on the camera. As for health and fitness, I don't know if I said it, but between the first time I weighed myself and the most recent time, I have lost 1.5 pounds, which could very well be just natural fluctuations in, you know, water weight and body composition and stuff like that. Or it could be steps towards losing weight, because I have been calorie restricting, so I've knocked down my caloric intake to below what my basal metabolic rate should be about. I did a bunch of math, not all of it very well. What I did was I calculated my current BMI for my weight, which we're going to say that I weigh 240 pounds. That's not fun to say, especially because I have this weird thing where I feel like 200 plus is just like, it's like a no-no. Even though overall I feel like my body's not bad. I'm happy with it, but that's why we're trying to lose some weight and just be more healthy, because I get out of breath pretty easily. And some of that's out of shape, some of it's fatness, most of it's just that if I was at this weight and like running and lifting weights and whatever, and I felt good about my fitness level, I wouldn't care too much about the number. But since I'm not in a particularly good fitness place, we using the number as a justification to get better. So I calculated where I'm at, BMI, like just a general idea of about what my basal metabolic rate is, so I knew what to get under in order to lose weight. because that is the main way you lose weight, is being in a calorie deficit. How big of a calorie deficit has a lot to do with whether your dieting is a safe choice for you, which has a whole bunch of stuff happening with my brain from working in an eating disorder clinic and the way they think about food and diets within their disorder and the way I'm trying to make my relationship with food and exercise healthier. It's weird. Sometimes it's getting in the way of me making progress around, like, worrying too much that I'm making bad choices versus just trying to get my weight down to a better spot. And also not trying to lose the current relationship I have where I like myself. I like how I look, I feel good, I feel confident, and I'm trying not to lose that too much while getting better. So that's been fun. So I calculated what my current BMI was. Not BMI, I don't care about my BMI. My basal metabolic rate, BMR. And then I calculated about where I'd want to be, because this is going to sound silly. I'm shooting for 130 pounds. I very well might not get there. Even in, like, when I was running cross country and, like, half marathons and, like, in a really good spot, health-wise, and much better physical appearance, I was much thinner, I still weighed 150 pounds just because I've got a sturdy frame. When I work out, I add a ton of muscle mass, which really messes up where people expect your weight to be based on how you look. So that was a game I had for a while, being like, guess my weight. And I was always like 20 or 30 pounds above where people were expecting me to be. These are people who are good at guessing, you know, people like cops that train like that so that they can make more accurate description stuff. And people who work in fitness who know about what a lot of people should be. So that was a fun game for me. But now it's not fun. Okay, honestly, I think that's kind of where I want it. It's really pretty and blended very nicely. I am going to take this brush and kind of smudge mildew on my lower lash line, which has kind of, there's really not much fallout. This is kind of quite nice. It's looking good. So I calculated where I was and where I would need to get down to, like where I should be eating at for the size I want to be. Just because that's important to know. Like, honestly, if you want to get down to a goal weight, one of the best ways to do that is to just calculate where you should be eating for the goal weight, and it's automatically going to be probably less than what you're eating now. Just start eating for that, and by the time you get down to your goal weight, you're already on a good system of eating what you're supposed to for that weight. And I wanted to know how long it would take me to do that, and kind of keep an eye on how long it would take me if I just ate in the calories of where I should be for the weight I want to be, versus adding on additional calorie deficit of working out. So I did that. I did the math way wrong. Like, I was able to calculate the calories for that and, like, the deficit and everything, but I did the calculation of how long it would take wrong once, then twice, and then a third time. I did it the first time and got a way underestimation of how long it would take, which is fine. Because it told me I would, like, lose that in, like, 3-4 months, which is losing 110 pounds in 3 or 4 months is super not good. That's too fast. That's unsafe. Anything more than a pound to 2 a week is generally considered very unsafe for your health to lose that much at a time. And generally that's the same situation where if you lose too much too fast, it's really easy for you to get back in the habit of eating too much or whatever and gaining it all back. That's a lot of the dieting issues that people come across, is being able to keep the weight off. Hence my system of, well, if we just do this thing and then I get in the habit of eating where I'm supposed to be eating for the weight, when I get down there I'm already good. Hopefully. So then I did that. I recalculated and got something closer to like 2 years-ish for just dieting, and closer to like 12 to 16 months for if I'm adding exercise onto the dieting. which gives me an idea of about how long it, like, that's why if you lose weight in a more healthy, controlled way like that, by the time you hit that, you already have 2 years of consistency with the eating better and working out habits, and in theory you then have made a full lifestyle change, and you're less likely to regain it. In theory. Everybody has their own outliers and whatever. Now we're going with Midnight Cowboy on the inner corner. And then I woke up. I was getting ready for bed, and then I realized, I'm like, God damn it, it's not a straight decline. It's a curve. It's not the same calorie deficit over time, because as you lose the weight, the calorie deficit from what you would be eating to maintain your weight versus your goal weight, as you're losing the weight, that deficit is going to shrink, which means it's less calories towards pounds lost over time. So you would have to do there's a whole bunch of other factors besides just calories that you have to take into account, but you would basically have to make a function for the right curve of that to kind of get an accurate estimate. As you get closer to your goal weight, it's going to be harder to lose the last few pounds, because in order to make that deficit that you've been running on the same height of calorie difference as it has been, you'd have to eat significantly less. So instead of cutting, instead of just eating at where you're supposed to be, because the difference between being 10 pounds overweight and 20 pounds overweight is a bigger calorie deficit towards your goal weight, if it makes sense. I hope I'm doing it right to make sense. Cutting down is going to be a lot slower weight loss if you're 10 pounds over your goal weight versus 20 pounds, because of where your current BMR is in relation to your goal. So you're going to lose it pretty quickly, like the pound or whatever, and then as you get closer, that calorie deficit is going to shrink. So it's going to be a 300 calorie deficit per day versus a 500 calorie deficit per day, and that's going to slow the weight loss as it tapers off. So that's one of the reasons that people have issues with the last couple pounds. Like, they've lost, 40 pounds, and that last 10 is so much harder because the calorie deficit is different from when they were higher up. They have to work a lot harder. They have to exercise a lot harder to maintain that slope, as opposed to it just kind of plateauing off and them losing that last chunk of weight over a much longer period than an initial weight loss. So it's going to take a long time if I want to lose what I want to lose while not wrecking myself. Because if you do lose weight too fast, your body freaks out. You have metabolic issues, you have your body eating from incorrect areas. Like, that's how you get holes in your heart. That's how you get all these really serious medical complications with anorexia and bulimia. It's because the disordered eating isn't just, it's calories lost. It affects so many other components of your body besides fat. It wrecks a bunch of stuff. And there's super fun scientific studies about if you've been overweight, your body tries to hold on to that, what it considers a cushion of starvation, because your body doesn't know anything about BMI or anything. It's not trying to get down to a certain spot. It sees the layer of fat as survival cushioning, so that if something comes up, you have so much of this calorie encoded in you to pull from when you might starve in times of hardship or whatever. And so the way your body holds onto it once you've had that cushion of fat it's a lot harder to lose, and it is so much more likely to be gained back. So somebody who gained weight and lost it is at a much higher risk for regaining the weight, even if they maintain certain things. Like, they gain weight much faster when they do go over their calories versus somebody who's never been above a certain size. Fun. Just getting you all down in the dumps about how hard it is to lose weight in a healthy way and keep it off. So that's what I did. But while doing that, I talked to a couple friends about it. My sister's been working out. One of my other friends, she's trying to lose some weight too, and I was talking about, she's like, actually, that's a good plan. So she did her own calculations about where she should be eating for where she wants to be. I started planning my meals, and we went to the grocery store together, and I cooked some stuff and pre-portioned different things. So I have, meals within a certain calorie range that I can just take to work and then, in theory, not overeat, not kind of guesstimate where I think things are supposed to be, because your body will keep a much more accurate count of the calories than you ever can. So, being accurate with knowing what you're going to eat and not just kind of guessing that it might be this many calories, and knowing, based on what you put into it or what's on the packaging of what you bought, exactly what the thing that you're putting into your body is adding to. So, dieting is a whole lot of math and a whole lot of knowing everything you eat and what's in it, which I know can be really frustrating for people who aren't trying to diet. If you're out with somebody and they're worried about this and that and making this choice versus that choice versus, oh, well, do I actually have an accurate count of what's in this thing I'm eating? It's because they're trying to be consistent and helpful, not because they're trying to be a downer. So, I made butter chicken, which does not sound like something that is good for weight loss. It isn't, but since I made it, I can add all the calories of the ingredients together, I can calculate how many calories per gram, and I can portion it out within the range that I want. So, I have done that. I added in rice because I like it on rice. Yeah, and so in theory, I will be eating the meals that I'm making and portioning within the calories that I want for the day. So that's all accounted for, so I'm not thinking about it and making choices that might up my calories above where I want them to be. And I'm trying to work out on the Wednesdays that I see my boyfriend. And then my friend, since she's also doing that, she's, we went to the grocery store together, we made a whole bunch of choices about, prepackaged stuff, things that we know what it's in, things that are making better choices, like more salads and stuff like that, which does make the things you eat a little better for you, which good versus bad foods is a whole other discussion. And in theory, this next week's going to be bad for me, but I can start working out with her at her apartment gym on Tuesday and Thursday, the boyfriend on Wednesday. I can do my own thing Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever type situation, and get some kind of community. I do so much better working out when I have a workout buddy. And it hasn't been the best because I used to have my sister as my workout buddy, but she's got other things happening and a whole different schedule since when we were workout buddies. But then me and Caitlin can work out, me and the boyfriend can work out, and then I can hopefully make my own things on my own. I've also started hanging out with a lovely lady, and she wants me to go to aerial class, so like suspended silks. We'll see. I'm not that flexible anymore. I used to yoga. I don't do it anymore. I should do it because that's good for you as well, just in general with smooth muscle and all that stuff. It's fun. So, the reason next week's going to be bad for me is because I have my birthday, Valentine's Day, and my 1-year anniversary with the boyfriend. So, my birthday, we're going to eat out. Anniversary, we're probably eating out. I know my boss is ordering in lunch for me and a couple other ladies who had birthdays in February, so we can all have like a little luncheon together, so that's going to be rough as well, and probably affect that. And then, depending on what we do for our anniversary, I'm either going to be cooking something, which means I can then have a little bit more control over what we eat, but it should still be like a celebratory food, which are generally more calorie dense, or if we go out a third time, because I'm intending to take him out for Valentine's Day, since it's, a thing just for me is my birthday, and then Valentine's or anniversary I try to make at least one of them more about him than about me, since I already got my own birthday thing. So yeah, I try and take him out for one of the two, so we get something for him, something for me, and then something together. And then we're also going to come up on the fact that my family does a birthday dinner for me as well, which probably be that weekend. So I'm not going to weight check in the next 2 weeks just because I don't want to see it go back up. We're just going to make some progress, and then, probably not at the end of that week, maybe 1 week or 2 after that, I'll weigh myself again and kind of see how it's going. And hopefully I can make some choices during those celebratory dinners that I can enjoy it but make smaller portions so it's not as bad of an impact on my goals. Yeah. And then the weekend after that, I can start working out with Caitlin. So yeah, lots of goals, lots of plans. I've been done with this for a while. I'm going to go finish up the rest of my face, and I'll show you how it looks. But overall, I quite like it. I'm really enjoying using some satins on the lower lash line. Often, I would have generally pulled the red down, but I think the green's quite cute. I'm going to go finish up and be back. And we have a finished look. This is actually the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick. I have it over a balm so it's kind of sheared out. I really like how the eyes turned out. a lot. I did go ahead and swatch it. So Charlotte Tilbury is on the top. I believe it's Walk of Shame. Yeah, so I got Walk of Shame. That's on the top. Then ABH Rosewood is on the middle. And then there's a ColourPop satin that I thought was similar on the bottom, which you can see is actually quite different. So, unfortunately, that means that my instinct was correct. When I opened it up and looked at the color, I immediately thought, that looks like rosewood. Fuck, I have this. Because in the picture I saw online, it looked a lot darker. But now that means that I'm probably going to add this into my rotation to attempt to pan it, because this is older. This is at least a year old. Whereas this one is, oh god, I chucked it. This one is much newer, although with it being a point perk, we can kind of assume that they were trying to get rid of old stock. I need to get rid of one of them, because I can't have two that are that close, especially in a bullet matte formula. One of them's gotta go. And I was considering I might declutter the bottom one, just because it looked really similar. I thought it was going to be similar. And the fact that I was willing to declutter that one might mean that it just needs to go on its own. But that's where we're at. Let's make some progress. So if you see rosewood in an upcoming panning project, that is why. It did go on nice over the lip balm. Nice and sheer little wash of color. I'll do probably some kind of review later, eventually, maybe, if I remember. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.